Welcome everyone to the stream. How's everyone doing? Another chill stream. It's been almost 3 weeks, I want to say, since the last chill stream I did, but I just got really busy, as you guys have seen from my upload schedule recently. A lot more videos, and if you follow my other channels, lots more videos on those channels too, so been very busy recently, but I decided that, it would be pretty fun to get someone on these streams every now and again, just to talk about anything, from a different perspective. And so I decided to have on Arvius. How you doing?
Yo.
Doing good, bro. Glad to be on here.
That's good to hear. We're just gonna talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We're gonna talk about AOT's ending. We're talking a little bit about Berserk, some shonen anime. So I know Arvius has been reading some stuff, and just about YouTube, and because we are content creators, and I just felt it would be cool to have a chat because, for one, for my AOT viewers out there, Arvius, crazy to say, is AOE. He believed in the AOE theory. He talked about it on his channel multiple times, and I remember back then, when I was talking about AOE and I made my videos on AOE, a lot of people were like, "Oh man, you just hate all the AOE people. Why do you hate us so much?" And I got a lot of flack for it. So, but a lot of people don't know. Me and Arvius are pretty friendly with one another. We like each other,
yeah.
Right? I think we do.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, an opinion of an anime shouldn't direct a relationship, like a friendship, in any way. It's just an opinion at the end of the day. So,
yeah. So, I thought it would just be cool to get your perspective because it's been almost a year since AOT's final episode.
dude, that's crazy.
And I haven't talked about it since last year. So, this is like the first time I'm actually talking about AOT on this channel in months. This year, at the very least. So,
Dude, for me, it's been damn over a year now since I've made a proper video on it.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Like, as soon as AOT went, the content just sort of stopped. And you know what's crazy is I find that people still want to see AOT content.
Is that so?
That isn't
For
that
your
insane?
channel?
People have stopped doing AOT content, but it's not nearly as big as it once was, obviously, but people still want to see it. And I think that's so cool.
That's interesting because I feel like with AOT, when the anime was ongoing, I would get a ton of exposure to my videos. But when it would be like in between seasons, like between part 1 and part 2 of the final season, I'd make an AOT video and it would significantly do worse than when it was ongoing. So I had the feeling that once it ended, it would kind of be a dead topic on YouTube. But I mean, from your perspective, I guess not. So I got to try it out. Maybe make a video or two on it and see what happens. But I haven't checked out the series in a while either. Like, before, when it was ongoing, I'd go back and read chapters to like get new information and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's been a minute, man.
What I've been doing, I said I didn't put out any AOT content. Well, I have. I've just been putting out shorts. Not many people know I put out AOT shorts, but every single AOT short I've done has at least gotten like 10,000 views. Like, some of them have gotten almost 500,000.
That is crazy.
It's wild. It's wild. People still want to see it, and I've been teasing people in my community tab forever, but I need to actually sit down and actually do the gosh darn video. I don't even know what video it's going to be.
Yeah, I think yeah, probably take your time with it. I mean, you'll see, it's hard to talk about something that's over, especially when you made so many videos on it already. You've covered a lot of topics. You've covered side characters that I would have never thought of covering. Like, you made a video on Armin, a video on Bertolt, like all these side characters you made videos on. Like, I never would have thought of doing that. So
I did.
I feel like for you, it's tough.
It is. It is. It's a little tough. I got to make the content compelling.
Exactly.
I did a video on, and I don't remember her name. Who was the girl that stole the scarf from Mikasa that was in season 1?
Well, her name's on the tip of my tongue.
It's
Louise?
Luis. Yes, yes. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah.
I did a video on that character. Isn't that
That's
crazy? Isn't that crazy?
that's really cool. Yeah.
But in the chat we have a lot of people. Plea TNT, what's up? Crowfish, how you doing? Burb, hello, Adore Burb. Damo says, what up, C? Darkness says, I'm still crying to this day about AOT's ending. It is one of those endings you can watch over and over, and it'll tear you up a little bit. Dorba says, my coworkers are at Anime Expo right now, and there is news Ruby is going to have something surprising happen, which is surprising since RT no longer exists, which means Ruby as an IP has been picked up by someone. That's crazy. That would be insane. Have you ever checked out Ruby?
Ruby. No. Is it an anime? I'm not sure.
Oh wow! It's there was this company that was called Rooster Teeth, and they're known for like Red versus Blue. Do you know what Red versus Blue is?
Not at all. No.
Wow! So you're totally like virgin eyes and ears to this. This is kind of cool. Well, basically, it was like an internet show, and it like animated independently, released independently through their own website and stuff. It was this big media company for like 25 years, and it closed down, I think, at the end of last year, or maybe the beginning of this year. And it was this hugely just bummer because everyone loved RT, but you know they grew way too fast, and so they just kind of started to collapse in on themselves a little bit.
Crazy. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, definitely go if you like Halo. You know, go check out Red versus Blue. It's similar to Ruby, but I definitely would recommend the first season of Ruby. I think it's still on YouTube for free because they used to release all
On YouTube.
Yeah. You may have to pay for it now, but who knows? Who knows? Warner.
Nah, I'll find a way to watch it for free.
Andres says, "Hi, love from Betty Humpter, Canada."
Betty Humpter. Down from Canada. I don't even know where that is.
I do not either. As an American, I'm stupid. Pyong, I believe, says, I loved AOT's ending. Manga ending was fixed by the anime. It was bittersweet, just as it was supposed to be. Yeah, like, we also have another one. AOT's ending has made everyone go back and rewatch the series.
That's fair. I thought of doing that.
EA says, happy 4th of July, everyone. Yeah, that's another thing. Celebrate 4th of July this year. You may not be able to next year, so. For us Americans.
Yeah.
Enjoy what you got. Support one another. It's rough out there. But yeah, let's just go ahead and talk about it because I'm super interested to hear your perspective on this. But like AOT's ending, you know, leading up to it, it was super controversial because lots of people were, you know, expecting there's basically like two sides. There was one side that was expecting the series to have an anime original ending based on many different factors. There was like multiple different theories, I believe.
Yeah.
All of them just kind of like tweaked here and there. And then there was the other side that was like that didn't really know about this, or really either you know didn't know about it or just read the manga and was like, oh well, I just want to see it animated. And it was like this interesting kind of back and forth between these two sides. And it created for some really toxic discussion on the internet. Like, I remember going on Reddit posts and seeing the way people talked about AOT and its ending was so strange to me because I couldn't quite get where they were coming from at points. But I think you have an interesting perspective because, I mean, you like the ending now, but back then you were really into this theory, and I want to know your thoughts, not just on the ending itself and what you think about it now and what you thought when you first watched it, but I would love to just pick your brain on what you thought about the AOT community back then and how crazy it was.
Yeah, I think for any series, when it gets big enough, there's gonna be a huge side of the fan base that's completely taking the story the wrong way and creating a toxic discussion out of it. And obviously that happened with AOT. Before the final season, I don't remember the fan base being at all that bad. Then the final season started. And even though like the first part of the final season was really good, there were still people finding things to like criticize about, especially with the anime they criticize CGI. And then around that time, the manga ending came out, and that became a huge thing. It went from being like the number one rated thing on my anime list to being like 15th, and it was from a part of the anime, like a part of the final season that had nothing to do with the ending. Yet it still got downvoted like crazy. So it just shows you like when a series gets big enough, the fans are going to be split even more. There's going to be a lot of
Yeah,
fans that are on the side that
I
just
agree
don't
with
like a part of the series, right?
you.
And as for the ending, I think the reason it was disappointing was because people had expectations. Like you see a story like AOT and what it does, like what the twists it creates, the characters that grow and develop and the characters that die, and you expect in the end something crazy to happen because like I mean I remember when it was ongoing, I was like Isayama's gonna create some crazy twist in the end, some crazy thing to tie it all together. But he just does something simple that in some ways works and arguably in some ways doesn't. So I think that part didn't really get appreciated because it could have gone a lot worse. I feel like certain parts could have been worse. Certain parts obviously were kind of unanimously disliked. Obviously not completely, but a lot of people disliked certain parts of it. One that comes to mind is like the Aaron scene where he says he wants Mikasa to be with him for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like that's a big point of controversy with the ending. Um, but yeah, I just think because people had such big expectations with the manga, especially when that chapter first dropped, everyone was like, "What is this? Is this a joke?" Like, people couldn't believe it. And then if someone goes to read the manga and they read the entire manga through to the ending, they're gonna have a different perspective than someone who's been waiting so long for the ending to come out. Like you read it monthly. It was coming out monthly,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
based
yeah.
on the chapters that were coming before that, you're like, okay, this is leading somewhere really big. Like John and Connie got turned into Titans. Gabby's a Titan. How's their conclusion gonna happen? Like how are all these characters gonna finish in one chapter, and then the last chapter they all just revert back, and like the previous chapter is kind of like pointless in a way. People kind of think that because of expectations, you know. So I think it's expectations mainly that ruined the ending for a lot of people. And then when the anime came out, there's more expectations because I'm partly responsible for this, but people are like, are we going to get an AoE? Are we going to get a new ending? So when that doesn't happen, they get disappointed again, and then they continue to flame the ending. So it's just kind of a cycle of like theorizing and the theories not happening. So it just kind of resulted in like a side of the fan base that really didn't like the ending. And I mean, there are parts of the ending that are like genuinely could be better, but I don't think it deserves the hatred that it's gotten. Like that's my final stance on it, you know? I think it's overhated, but it's like definitely not a perfect ending in my opinion.
It's like what I say ironically about AOT. AOT is both perfectly fine as a series. Like when we talk about the general way people generally talk about anime, it's like this is super overrated and this is like underrated. This is really bad. This is really good. Um, it is both an overrated and underrated series. So I think it's because like you say, like it entered the zeitgeist, and once you enter the zeitgeist, you're getting thousands, millions of people that don't know about anime. They don't even know they're watching an anime, and
Yeah.
it's this crazy thing. And in the middle of that, you have some people who decide to like take the plunge into that, and then they, from my reading, it felt a lot like people were getting into the series, you know, reading the manga at the very end. And I think you're totally right that they built up expectations of what they thought it was, because and as a person who's covering Chainsaw Man weekly on a second channel called Bento, check it out if you read Chainsaw Man. But and it's in the description, by the way, along with Arvius's link if you want to check him out. But when we're covering Chainsaw Man every week, there's tons of theories. There's tons of theories that I come up with, that the community comes up with. We have our own little verbiages, our own little words we like to use with our own little definitions. And it's a tight-knit community, and there's sort of like a feedback loop in that. And I think a lot of people get super hyped up when you're in that community, and that does paint like almost insurmountable expectations in a way. Because like,
Yeah.
even if like something turns out even better than it was, the community theorized, I think there would still be some people that would be disappointed in that, no matter what.
100%.
Even if they
I think
themselves like it, they would still be disappointed to some extent.
definitely. Yeah.
Because it's like,
I think
you get that feedback loop, and it feels good. So
yeah. I was gonna say AoE would have probably created more of a conflict than not AoE, because like imagine the people who actually enjoy the ending, what they would think about that. I think that's
Yeah.
what like the toxic side of the community failed to believe. They're just narcissistic in a way where it's just like it's what I want. Like I want what I want, and if it's not that, then it's not good. And you kind of can't really think like that, because the series has to be objective in a way. Like it has to conclude a lot of parts of the story. It can't just be what you want, because most of the time what you want isn't a correct ending from a narrative standpoint. Like
yeah,
if AoE's theory were to happen, everything would have to connect. And that's what I was trying to do with my videos, was trying to connect it and be like, this is possible, but it's not like it's gonna happen 100%. Like I was trying to find reasons as to why it could happen, because it's very difficult to create something like that, and it would have been ridiculous, but people would have also found plot holes in it. Like you can't just create something that big, have a completely different ending out of nowhere, and expect it to work. It's just not going to work. Some people just want it to end their way, and it's not going to work like that. Like stories have to conclude properly. It can't just be Aaron wipes everyone out because he's the cool guy. It doesn't work like that.
and he wears black, and he's got long hair.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have
uh,
to go back and look at who Aaron was for 3 seasons, not just for that one season that you're looking at. Like he was a
yeah,
different character back then.
well, arguably, I would say he was even static, but the way that the story portrays him makes it. He shows different shades of his character throughout, which I think is really unique.
Yeah.
Um, like yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, it's. And that's why I took the compromise of the two positions when that was all that stuff was starting to become big drama and all that and toxic. I saw it from the perspective of, well, taking all the criticisms that were said about the ending, which I did a re-review of the final couple chapters before, like a week before the ending came out, and I thought the ending was pretty good. I thought the flaws were a little people overestimated the flaws, I think. And I thought for sure, like, the smart thing to do from here is to just take the scenes people had problems with and just rewrite it. And that's kind of what we got. Like,
Yeah.
we got the compromise between the two. And I think that's because Isayama noticed it. I think he noticed the division that he created with the ending, and he was trying to figure out what went wrong. And I think he pinpointed it. I think he knew it was the scene with Armin and Aaron that
Yeah.
because that is sort of like the most important scene in the entire series to a degree. Because that's like,
Yeah.
you get answers definitively from Aaron why he did all of that. And yeah, like a lot of people, for whatever reason, maybe it's younger people, maybe it's people, whoever, whatever reason it could be. A lot of people were very mad that Eren, the stoic, badass, silent guy who is, who looks like he's the leader of a heavy metal band, didn't wipe out 100% of the entire planet. And
Yeah,
there's
and
nothing.
something
And I think the whole Mikasa thing is like a representation of that. Like instead of giving into the hate, he gave into love.
yeah. I think one thing you said was that chapter gave us Aaron's intentions, what he wanted. I think what people were a lot of things that a big thing that turned people off was Aaron being like, I don't know why I did it. And that's like, okay, we followed you all this way. We're on your side to like destroy everything pretty much. And now you go and say, I don't know why I did this. And for a lot of people, they're like, okay, well, this is just kind of weird. And then right after that, he does the scene where he's like, I don't want Mikasa to leave me for 10 years. And that's even more like, okay, what's happening to this character? I didn't expect this at all. And it's kind of a turnoff. And like right before that, it kind of threw us at these plot twists. It threw us at Ymir loving King Fritz. That's like, okay, whoa, Stockholm syndrome is kind of weird. And then it throws you into like this twist where Aaron was the one who killed his mother, which in my opinion could be like one of the greatest twists in the entire series. But it's the way that they expressed it in the manga that turned people off. It was one panel of Aaron being like, "Yeah, I did this," and then Armin's like, "All right, let's just move on," kind of thing. So
But
it's just those little things.
what do you think, for like from your perspective, like instead of what we got, what do you think should have been in those scenes? Like how do you think they should have played out?
For the I think it just should have been like it's how it is in the anime. Like the anime did it a lot better because it was extended a little bit. Like I didn't want this big twist to just be one panel. I want it to kind of be fleshed out. Like if you look at let's say the Reiner and Bertolt reveal, that's like a quarter of an episode, if not a little bit more, and then you have the fight
Yeah.
right after. So it's big. It's like you have
You-
time to digest all of it,
So
right?
you want to sit with
But
it and marinate with it.
a little, yeah, in that kind of way. Like this is a huge twist, you know. So it kind of makes sense as to why Aaron's feeling this way in the moment when he expresses this. But then when they move on from that, it's kind of like, okay, we're not going into what Attack on Titan usually is, which is this dark mess of plot twists all over the place. It kind of abandons that really quick and goes back to their conversation. And then it moves into a comedy side that is kind of uncharacteristic of AOT, which is kind of turns people off, you know? So I don't think like the events were terrible. I just think the manga didn't flesh it out completely, but the anime did it in a good way. The manga threw all of it into one chapter, but the anime kind of expanded a little more, which was really good in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the thing, with the manga and the final chapters, it really did feel, and this is kind of a semi-common thing with manga in general that I generally dislike, and I think it's a cultural thing. Some work cultural thing, maybe business thing. There's layers to this, right? But it happens all the time, where mangaka will have a super big series, and the editors and the publishers will rush it to completion at the very end. Happens
Yeah,
every time, and I believe the same thing did indeed happen to Isayama. Am I correct in saying that, or am I? It's been
I think it did. I think it did.
yeah.
I would think so.
So he sort of he had to. They were like, you gotta get this out. You gotta get this out. And I I think for the most part he was able to realize his vision. I think honestly it's just the wording of a couple scenes for me. That I think
Yeah.
he improved upon in the anime. But I think it's interesting that you want to sit with those scenes a little bit more. Um, you know, I felt that the scenes relied a lot upon previous knowledge of Aaron and previous knowledge of the series. And I think a lot of people, and I see this all the time because I had a video explaining the ending. So I get literally dozens of comments a day that people are literally saying this is the worst ending ever. This series is pointless. There's no reason to it. But I think what happens, it's such a long series, and it's been over over a decade, right? 11
Yeah.
years, I believe, for an anime.
Yeah.
something like that. And you have people that are watching it and they may forget stuff in the middle of it. And so that's
Yeah.
where I see a lot of people kind of being negative about it, and they're missing stuff. So I think a lot of people, some of them are confused. They just forgot, and they maybe need to go back and rewatch. But
100%.
that is a digression I just did for like no reason. But
I was gonna say, to what I said before, like you just mentioned that people forget stuff as they watch the series or read the series, and that's what I mean. Like when you're reading it weekly, you kind of don't remember stuff from the past, but if you're reading it all at once, you remember everything, so the ending makes more sense. Which is why people who see the series like all at once kind of thing,
maybe
they don't stop in between. They like the ending more, so maybe that's
maybe
why.
maybe that's why, because when I was making these videos like regularly, I, dude, I AOT was my entire life for those couple of years that
Huh.
that I went through all that stuff. So, but I think with the whole, I don't think you need to do anything more in the scenes at the very end. Like, I think they're all fairly well paced and well done. And I'm talking about the anime now, but in the manga, I definitely give you that. Like I think the twist of Eren being responsible for his mother's murder, as in he's the one who did it. Like I even think in the manga that was fine. Um, but I think as well, and this is something I've noticed, and I definitely want to get your thoughts on this, because sometimes manga doesn't translate as well as anime does, and vice
For
versa.
sure.
So like,
Yep.
what's a good example of this besides AOT? Well, I can tell you something in the reverse.
Berserk.
Oh well, yeah, Berserk, as we're going to talk about here soon.
Yeah. In
Like
terms of a manga
sometimes
not translating to an anime, that's a big example.
that is probably one of the biggest ones, actually, one of the most notable
Yeah.
ones, because you read the manga and you go watch the anime, and no matter which one you watch, they're totally different.
Completely.
Well, similar tones. 97 one is probably closest, but every other one is like totally different viewing experience. Right?
It's like that art style when you see it move and when you see the colors, it takes away from the feel and the aesthetic of the series. That's why Berserk fails as an anime, is because the art style is so advanced and all that. The story is so advanced that to put it into a simplistic art style in an anime is way too difficult. And then they end up abusing CGI and it looks like 2016 Berserk. So
Oh yeah, yeah. You
yeah.
gotta watch the 97 version. 97 version is
ISM version's really good for its time,
great.
yeah, but now it's kind of outdated. So
It is, but it's. Oh, I got.
it's a classic for sure.
Got to get that Blu-ray, man.
Oh yeah.
Got to get it. But what I've noticed is with the final chapter is, yeah, the pacing is a little quick, and I remember reading it and going, this is going to be totally fixed in the anime, because you have because I look at all the previous chapters that were adapted before then and see how much they've changed from manga to anime, and how much the anime adds to the story of Attack on Titan. I've said this for years. I think Attack on Titan's manga is not the way to consume the story. I think it's
agree.
the anime.
Yep.
I think it's always been the anime, which is, I think that's kind of incredible. You have one of the most popular series of the modern era that is better in anime form than it is manga. How many series can say that?
100%. I think that's incredible. First of all, like you said, and one
I
of the
think it's
main things that
because Isayama worked a lot on it too, by the way.
yeah,
But,
100%. He even mentions that he goes into that like into the people who are making the anime and he fixes things that he thought should have been done better in the manga. A big example of like the anime being better, I'll give one of the most iconic moments is the Reiner and Bertolt betrayal scene. If you read that scene in the manga, it is completely different than in the anime. The anime adds one of the best
man.
soundtracks in the entire show.
Yeah,
It adds incredible voice acting, intense
bro.
emotion, and things are just like it makes for one of the best moments in the whole series. Where in the manga, it's just like a couple of pages and then the transformation. So
Dude,
that's one example of it.
I read that manga or that chapter the week it came out. I read the leaks of that chapter.
That's crazy, dude. How many years ago was that?
A long time ago. This is like, fuck, I don't know. It was like a couple of years before season 2. Season 2 was still like a pipe dream.
2017. Yeah, that's
Like,
crazy.
like, and many people don't know this, but I dropped Attack on Titan for a while. I also used to cover Attack on Titan weekly when season 2 aired. A lot of people didn't know that.
Wow, all the way back.
My first like official anime video was an Attack on Titan video in episode 1. And you know what you can go find this in a video. I think I mentioned in a couple videos and showed the clip. But in episode 1, I'm like, I point out the flashback sequence. I was like, guys, why can Eren see into the future? What the hell? Like, he saw his mother be picked up by the Titan before, and what are all these, like, what is this? In my first video. And I always thought that was interesting, but...
That's really cool.
Fuck, I lost my point. God damn it!
That's bound to happen a few times.
What the hell was I talking about? Do we know? Or am I alone out here? Just fuck. What was
how the anime does it better than the manga? Right.
Yes, and then what the hell? God damn it! I'm just gonna go to the chat. I'm gonna go. Fuck. Who cares? Go to the chat.
Yeah, go to chat. Let's see what they gotta say.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see here. Pandacroft. Oh, this is a question for you because I think you'd know more about this because you were more ingratiated with this community than I was. Pandacroft says one thing I noticed a lot about AOEers is that a lot of them just wanted a power fantasy ending. What do you think about that? Do you think that's a generalization or is there some truth to that? Like what do you
mean by a power fantasy ending?
Obviously this is not how Pandacroft would and obviously they can chime in as well.
Yeah.
But when I see power fantasy, I think of like Sword Art Online. Like Kirito is the most overpowered character.
Oh, they want to see like the protagonist be really overpowered kind of thing.
Yeah, and they want to live through that. That's the other part of the power fantasy is that you can relate to the character and you can like kind of be a part of that power fantasy. A lot of isekai do this. A lot of like in another world fantasy. They do this all the time. That's like basically a pillar stone of the genre is having an extremely overpowered main character, and that's a power fantasy for many people.
Yeah.
So that's
I think
view it.
Yeah. I think the reason people wanted to see the AoE ending was kind of because they want to see Eren as the cool guy, as the villain kind of thing, because they create that image of him in their mind, and they don't see Eren for who he is. They see Eren for who they think he is. And that's the main problem. Like, they create an image of him, and that's all they see of the character. So when he does something in their minds that's out of character, which in the actual world isn't out of character, they think it's wrong and it shouldn't be the case in the story. So they want to see him complete the rumbling because in their minds, that's been his goal the entire time, which is obviously not the case. So that's mainly what I think. So to an extent, yes, I do think that's what AoE was. There were some good ideas, like good theories and twists that came along with it, but that could have all just been like people fantasizing about it. Like, it might not have been foreshadowing from Isayama. They could have misinterpreted things, which is probably what happened. So
yeah, the human mind picks up patterns that aren't there all the time, and
not just stare at a wall and you're gonna see a pattern form in the wall, you know.
Yeah, and like that's just a normal part. Like everybody, like fuck, I do that all the time. Like I make up stuff in my head all the time. It happens. Just like my friends. I'm kidding. Or am I? Pandacroft chimes in, says the few I've interacted with have complained about Eren being humiliated, and a lot want Eren to epically own the cringe Vengers and sleep with his Aryan trad wife.
That's crazy.
That's though
that's that's funny.
So we know Arvius and me definitely have no experience with that side. I probably actually have more experience with that than probably Arvius does, because I was attacked by those people on several occasions. My couple of my videos were brigaded.
That's wild.
They were like when the final episode came out, they were always posting my videos on their subreddits. It was super.
That's why your videos blew up, man.
I guess so. I guess that's why they got like a lot of. Well, I got a lot of random hate messages too.
Yeah.
Like when I was brigaded by one of them, I don't remember what subreddit it was, but it was one of a really big one. I had a lot of people like raid my comment section telling me like, what's the problem with racism? Women should have no rights. Like, what does this have to do with AOT?
Yeah.
And
people on the internet are just wild. Like you can't listen to these comments. Like you can't even just ignore those things, honestly. Like it's a negative side effect of gaining traction on YouTube.
Pentacroft says Titanfolk and Jaegerbomb. It's probably one of those. I think it may have been Jaegerbomb or something. Either way, like wildly inappropriate, and I think that's a part of the power fantasy aspect, maybe with that people or that group of people, is they maybe had some sort of desire deep down inside of them to be Nazis.
Yeah,
like straight up, and that's how they manifested that. Granted, I would say most of those people have moved on now. And you're not going to be seeing them at all around. And make no mistake, people who think like AOT's ending is bad or not, like want to be.
No, there's different sides
edgelords.
of it. There's different sides.
Yeah, there's
like people I can see completely why from a narrative perspective you don't think the ending is good. But like if you're gonna read comments and stuff, then I'm just gonna think you're an idiot and you don't have a proper judgment of it and like a proper reason as to why you don't like it. You just think Aaron's not cool anymore.
Yeah, and I think there's different colors to all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see what else do we got here.
I'm gonna be right back. Give me like a minute.
Okie doke. Mark says, C, do you think Isayama was a gardener or an architect as a writer? And he's referring to, I forget what Carper was referring to exactly, like the person who came up with this. But basically, you have a gardener who kind of like plants a seed and leaves it there and waters it every day. And eventually you see it kind of blossom and grow. And then you have the architect that planned it from the very beginning, like designed everything meticulously. And Isayama like did that. He was an architect. He even said so himself. Like, Attack on Titan was a story he created as like a young teen, and in many ways he felt confined by the story because of that. Because he was attached to constantly the story he wrote when he was in high school or middle school, and you'll see that a lot of times. And a lot of people go, "Wow, he wrote that when he's a teenager," but that's most of the stuff you like and you find popular are made by teenagers. It's just that it's later put out when they're adults. A good example of this is music. Go look at some of the biggest pop music in the world from over the last, I wouldn't say recently, because recently in the last 20 years, pop music is very manufactured. But you go back to the 90s and before, and this is way more prominent, a lot of the hit songs you're hearing on the radio were written by the person who is probably singing it or playing it when they were in high school. And that's crazy to think about, but it happens literally all of the time. I think Superbad, which is like a very famous movie now, Superbad was written by Seth Rogen and I forget the other person. When they were teenagers. Like, it was written about experience they had when they were teenagers. So that's kind of a with Isayama, he's an architect for sure.
I'm back, by the way.
Welcome back. Hyujin Dong. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. The thing with 139 is that it changes the context of previous events without any setup. quote, Armin, the founder's power has my head all messed up. I see all future and past at the same time. Is that you trying to rationalize it? Since when was it ever set up that the founding can manipulate time? Oh wait, there's responding to another person.
The founder can manipulate time. The Attack Titan can go through different parts of
Yeah,
time. You can see the
it's a whole
future,
thing.
but
Listen, don't think about time travel and stories too much
yeah,
because it's physically
Yeah.
not possible to time travel.
yeah.
So
Well,
at least in our
physically you can
universe,
travel.
not.
You can travel forward in time, but not back. You know that?
Yeah. You can apparently, and I don't know how true this is. This is a big digression as well. I read about this one time, and this is years ago. But apparently, if you're in the eclipse of a black hole, like on the edge of it, and you're spinning around in a circle like really fast, and you turn around, you can see the entire history of the universe play out, or something like that, like theoretically, or something.
I think it might have been something called special relativity, where like this is gonna get kind of big brain here, but like it's really cool. I read about this a while ago. It's like the faster you're going, the slower time moves.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
Dude, that's so crazy to me because it's like if you go in a spaceship and you're traveling at like it's not physically possible to go at the speed of light, but if you're traveling like a fraction of it, like a fraction of the speed of light, you could experience 10 years and the world, like everyone else on Earth, will experience 100 years. So if you fly in your spaceship for 10 years and you come back to Earth, it could be a century in the future.
Yeah.
Theoretically. Like that's so cool to me.
That's why warp drive is so important, because it's the only way to make it feasible. Because you can't travel long distances without running into that happening.
Yeah.
So warp drive is like a huge thing. Once we can figure out warp drive, hope we get there. It's gonna be a game changer because you can warp. You can just fold space and time and go to across the universe in a second.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh, we need faster than light travel, or fast as light travel, and that's not the solution, because
Not possible.
if you're doing even anything close to like a fraction of fast as light, or faster than light, if you hit a pebble, you will blow up a solar system from the force.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of pebbles, little rocks out
yeah.
there in space. It's good for probably short distances, I guess. I don't know. More feasible that way. That was Science Hour with me and Arvius.
Yeah.
Subscribe for more of that. We're starting a science podcast here soon. We're gonna have Neil deGrasse Tyson on the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. What were we talking about before? Oh, we're going over comments.
Time travel and AOT.
Yeah. Let's. I guess we talk about that a little bit. I mean, we sort of already did. I mean, my thought is just that I just don't want to think about it too much, because
I don't want to.
the more holes I can put into it.
Literally, yeah.
I do think it's cool though, the concept of it. Like, I think that's a really cool story perspective to do, and it's not like obvious time travel. Like,
certainly.
Like when I first watched it, or read it, I should say, I didn't go, "Oh wow, that's time travel." I just went, "What the hell?" That's like mind bending, and then I was like, "Oh, that's time travel." But I guess you could say it's mind travel too. But it's a super unique concept, and I'm glad that Isayama went with it, because it allowed him to explore generational war and how it affects so many people, and how you may think a war ends, but those factions continue to wage a cold war against each other forever. Yeah. It's insane. It's insane to think about. That's what I love about it. Because it brings up a lot of questions. Not just in terms of possibility, but,
Yeah. There's a cool question in chat by Joseph. He's like, your top 3 favorite characters in AOT.
Oh
I
man.
think that's good.
Oh god. Uh, Mikasa, best girl.
Number one or number
Not
three?
number one. I will say this is kind of out of order, but I think
Okay.
she's definitely in the top three. I think Aaron for sure for me.
Yeah.
And honestly, since AOT ended, Reiner Braun. I actually,
100%. Yeah.
I think when you go over the entire series again, Reiner is kind of like a fucking underrated character who's great.
He's great.
Super,
Yeah.
super interesting as a person. And I think that's why I'm so compelled by him. Because, like, you can go, oh, plot armor titan, haha, which is funny. But like, if you actually, like, put yourself in his shoes, he's, like, one of the most relatable characters where you just kind of want to see him stop suffering. You want to see him have something good happen to him to redeem himself, and he's such a fuck up, but Isayama resolves his character in a way that makes you feel for the guy, makes you understand and be more sympathetic towards him, despite all of the horrible things he's done. And he pretty much only does exclusively horrible things in AOT.
Well, from a perspective, horrible. But then you learn that like he kind of had no choice and all this. That's what
And
makes him such a
that's,
great
yeah,
kid.
he was indoctrinated as a kid. He thought that, and he
Yeah.
was also misguided. You know, he thought that he could bring back his family if he uh, overachieved and became an honorary Marlian, and he thought that that would solve all of their problems. And his flaw was that he thought that that would work in the first place.
Yeah.
And
He even says to Aaron he wanted to be a hero. Like he didn't do this because he's a bad person. He's like they kind of forced this on me in order for like my parents to love me and for people to care about me. I have to be a hero. I have to do this, and like he has to constantly live with this regret of like, okay, I forced Bertolt and Annie to continue the mission. I forced all this pain on upon Aaron. And it's like the regret on both sides is like so cool, which is why Aaron and Ryan have such a good dynamic.
yeah, yeah, and they're so. To me, you can't have Aaron without Reiner, and I think that
Exactly.
shows with their rivalry throughout the series. Like all the times they fight, it's just so great for one reason or the other. Whether it's badass, like in season 2, or whether it's just because it's just so like you at like in the final season, in like episode 7 and 8, where
Oh
Reiner
yeah,
he's like ready to give up and die, and he's just just when you think I'm out, they drag me back in, that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
The kids are cheering for him to get up, and you're like, fuck it, do it, man! Like, beat up
yeah.
Aaron, beat him up. Want to see you
Do you think
win?
do you think he should have died in the end? Because it was in his character, like he wanted to die, he wanted to be a hero.
I think I think him getting what he wants would be the antithesis to his character.
That's fair.
I think he deserves what he gets, and I think that's the point. Is that it's not about him suffering and being given death. It's about him accepting life as it comes, and instead of trying to cram it into this frame of him being abandoned by his father, I think instead of framing it everything he sees as him being neglected and abandoned, he needs to see it, and I think he does. He sees it more as just what it is, what
Yeah,
and just take it as as it comes, and not not see through the lens of trauma. And I think that's his biggest flaw throughout the entire series, is that he does it because he thinks it's going to bring back his father and it's going to bring back his family, and he's so disillusioned that he believes, when we as a viewer, we saw in his flashback, we saw immediately his family be destroyed, and we know immediately it's never coming back. But
yeah.
holds on to it. And he just doesn't let it go. And I think him trying to commit suicide and him not going through with it because of the kids, it's another example of Isayama denying him death. But I don't think I think Reiner is such like a low key badass that he can't take the coward's way out. He wants to, but whether he thinks he has it or not, he has the fortitude and the strength to get through pretty much anything. And that's also, I think, thematically why he's the armor titan.
That's really cool.
He has such a thick skin, but on the inside he's so tormented. And it's such a cool way to do a character like that. Because that's
really
simple.
Cool.
Yo, what did I miss? A bit. A bit.
Yeah, quite a bit.
A bit. But it's fine. It's fine. You can go back afterwards. I'll leave the stream up for everyone. Hello, Neil. How's everything going? Dan Wood says, it's okay if it was bad. I pirated it. Can't complain. I still like the first 3 seasons. Hey, that's true. That's true.
That's weird. I think the 4th season's the best season, but that's just me.
Yeah. What do you guys in the chat think? Like, what season do you think is the best season? I think the final season is the best season.
Yeah, I think it progressively gets better. Like 1, then 2 is better than 1, the 3 is better than 2, and 4 is better than 3. It just like every season's like a bigger everything. The setting, everything, the characters. Like it's so there's more at stake in the final season, and there's so many more twists, so many more reveals. The characters just reach their peaks. It's like it's the peak of the show, and like I hear a common idea is like it should have ended after season 3 part 2, and I'm like, then you wouldn't have had some of the most iconic moments in the show, and the character of Eren would not even be close to what he is at the end. So I just think it's a dumb statement.
Yeah, I think I get the sentiment, and I think Burb Adore Burb in the chat, he says, I always saw AOT 1 through 3 is the main story, and with season 4 is the extended aftermath / epilogue. I think that's the other side of what you mentioned there. I think that's the sentiment. I think the sentiment is like people go, that's the way. In a perfect world, that's the way the story ends. That's usually where it left off, right? But season 4 and the final season as a whole is just it doesn't end at it doesn't have the perfect ending. Life doesn't. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
And there are things that were set in place throughout the entire series that it's just not over yet.
That's the theme of the epilogue too. Like it's still not over even in the ending, because like Paradise gets destroyed in like a few hundred years or whatever. So it's like a common theme in the show.
Yeah, like you can't stop war because humanity is driven by conflict, and we are pushed and pulled into things we don't or do want by that conflict. And sometimes that conflict doesn't get resolved and it builds up into war. And I want your thoughts on this, Harvey's. Do you think AOT's ending was pointless because war still continued?
No, I think it's just realistic. Like so many other series have that theme to it, but they don't implement it. Like I feel like it's such a common thing that you see, like war never ends and stuff, but like a lot of endings, war does end. And I feel like that's not realistic. I think with AOT it makes a lot of sense, especially because it's hundreds of years in the future, so you can still say that what Eren did to an extent had a benefit because he kept peace for the longest time ever. But in the end, of course, there's still not going to be peace because you just can't have that. So I think it makes sense. I think it's good. I actually like the addition of the epilogue.
Yeah, I that's another one where in the manga I don't think it hit as hard as it did in the anime, because the anime, ooh, that's one of the best things they ever did for that series is those credits, because dude, those credits, by the way, have sparked so much theories on if Mikasa was married or not because of like
Yeah.
the white lilies or whatever, which represents purity in Japanese culture. Um, and
If there's one thing I learned about AOT,
it's
it's to
crazy.
not theorize. Because if you end up theorizing, you're gonna get disappointed in the end. So
What? And yeah, yeah, and at the same time, to have your own interpretation, which I think is super interesting. Like that's why
Yeah.
I like talking with you about this and having this discussion because everyone has a different perspective on AOT because it's a series about perspectives fundamentally.
It really is. It really is.
So everyone's going to have a different opinion. Everyone's going to be like, yo, 100% rumbling, destroy everything, Chad King. And then there's some people are going to be like, you know, Aaron should have died in season 1, that annoying little bitch. You know? So
yeah.
it's the whole spectrum. Let's see here. Harry the Pokey Nerd says it's a tie for season 1 and 4. What did you think about season 1? Because I
I think it's a. Go ahead.
well, I think that's my weakest season for me.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Like I
I still think it's.
great, but
Yeah, I was just about to say. I still think it's. I think it's an excellent introduction, but there is nowhere near. The scope is nowhere near what it is in the later seasons. Like,
yeah,
yeah, Aaron fights
agree.
the female Titan. Wow, the female Titan's a big mystery and everything. But then, okay, now Aaron's fighting like 6 other Titans to defend his nation, with every character there at one time. After 16 different plot twists just happened. Now this person's on this side, and like, there's so many things going on. So
Yeah,
you know,
there's and there's so much time that's gained too with all the history and stuff, and I think season 1 makes final season better, but I think final season makes season 1. There's something I don't know. There's something about that. I don't know why season 1 is the weakest for me. Even though without season 1, I don't think final season is nearly as good because
definitely.
season 1 is like final season mirrors season 1 in so many ways. Because like you have
You know what it is?
you have the ending of the final season in the first episode of season 1. It's a total mirror. It's a cycle. It's a circle.
It is. The thing is, though, in final season we have both perspectives. In season 1 we have one. So the final season's like bigger. Like I mentioned, like there's so much more. You see both sides, and you're conflicted yourself too. It's not straightforward. Like, okay, these are the bad guys. They're invading us. It's like we're good, but we're doing something bad to someone who we thought was bad, who we're now being told is good, and like you're kind of confused
Hey,
about it. So that
Hey, remember in
you know?
season 1 when Erwin was like, Aaron, point to the enemy.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Also, one of the best characters, Erwin.
Yeah, Erwin, great. Man, I
Yeah.
wish I could be commanded to be charged into death by him.
That was one of the best moments in the whole series.
And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? I often feel like it's underrated because so much happens in the final season, like declaration
Yeah.
of war. For the first episode of the final season, you have the rumbling. You have you just have so much, so much. The the invasion of Liberio, Sasha's death, which I find that interesting. Sasha's death is like one of the most talked about moments in the entire series, and it's like just the death of like a supporting cast character.
Yeah.
That shows how that to me that's an example of how immersed and how respected the series is for many people. Like people were so into it that they hated Gabby for killing Sasha to this day.
Yeah.
And then there's also the part of that where it's like they respect the writing so much they got offended personally. That's how good it is. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's just a compliment to how good the series is.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Hollow Man says season 1 is by far the worst season. I thought season 1 was underwhelming. I wouldn't say it was underwhelming.
No, I think there's a reason it gained so much popularity is because it was,
It's 'cause
if
of
anything,
season 1.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think most people would probably say universally season 1 is probably amazing
Yeah.
because it was the introduction, it was the thing that started it. I would say season 2 probably is the most underwhelming because you waited 4 years to get it. And people
And it's
now
only 12 episodes.
it was only 12 episodes. And people now will go, "Oh, season 2, one of the best seasons." But it
I
wasn't
think
that
it's
way
the
back then.
the freaking yeah people yeah. You'd know better than me definitely, but
Yeah, back then people felt really disappointed with season 2.
yeah, I mean, one of the most iconic moments in anime in general. Like that freaking betrayal was so crazy. I've seen the replay of it like 100 times at least. It's so good. The music's so good. The voice, everything.
And then the
So,
manga is just like
yo, Aaron.
Yo,
Yeah.
Aaron, I'm the bad guy, bitch.
Yeah, and then in the anime, it's still that, but it's way crazier.
Way crazier. The music, man. Oh my god, the
Yeah.
music. Phantom Flame says Jujutsu Kaisen fuses with My Hero Academia. Who comes out on top? Wait, what does that mean? They're
No
fusing
idea.
together, wouldn't they? Both? Are we like? Is this like a Dragon Ball thing, or are we gonna come up with like a name for it? My Jujutsu Academia. Is that what we're... Elaborate on that question. Phantom Flame also asks, "Did you guys ever read Attack on Titan before the fall?" I have not read any of the extra stuff.
I'm not either.
I've seen Lost Girls.
Yeah, same.
I've seen the OVAs, but none of the other stuff. Phantom Flame also says, "Well, think of it this way: Naruto saved the world, but even as Hokage, shit still goes, keeps going down. Yeah, life keeps going on, right?"
Yeah.
Hollow Man says the point is you can't stop war with more war and aggression. That is true. That is true.
You can't stop it, period.
Yeah. Like, you don't have to kill each other to, like, still have the conflict, right? I think war is a violent representation of conflict. It's just one of the many things we can do to represent how we conflict and rage against one another. Adora Burp says, never felt AOT's ending was pointless because Aaron's main goal was still done. His goal since the start was eradicating all Titans and have his friends live long lives. Phantom Flame says, peace has been and can be achieved in real life for long periods of time, but someone always ruins it. That's the truth. That is the truth.
Yeah.
What says, can't be disappointed if I only watch seasons 1 through 3. It's true.
You also can't witness some of the best moments in the series. So.
That's the trade-off, right? But
yeah,
Arvius, he can never be disappointed, and that's what's most important.
You want to open that door and like you witness greatness, and you also witness disappointment. So,
Harry says season 4 is the best without a doubt, narratively, structurally, and in terms of characterization. Dan Wood says it's okay. Sasha was supposed to die in season 2. She will be missed. Yeah, that's also true. Phantom Flame says, I was thinking more so like if the two worlds combined, which character from those series would become a dominant force in that sort of situation? Oh! Well, Sukuna, for one.
Yeah, I was going to say.
My Hero Academia is a lot of superheroes, so that's kind of like a lot of mutations and stuff. Whereas Jujutsu Kaisen is sorcery. So it's like magic.
Yeah.
So it's like they're both magic. So which magic wins? I think it'd be pretty...
I'm not sure.
I think... Now, I don't know if you've seen MHA, but or Jujutsu Kaisen, but I think MHA... I think most of those characters probably beat almost every one of the characters from Jujutsu Kaisen. And the reason is because of the overabundance of superheroes in that world. and the overabundance of random quirks that probably would be useless in any context, but you apply it to like against like a Jujutsu sorcerer, and it would probably destroy them.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
I think that goes for many scenarios.
Hmm.
Dorber says Whopper, 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 Junior, Double, Triple, Whopper. What are your thoughts on that, Arvius? Can we get some insight?
I think that's a sign to start talking about Berserk.
Yay!
which is one of the things we're gonna talk about.
Yeah,
If you're
Berserk.
down,
Did you see
yeah,
the new Berserk trailer?
dude. I've been that excited for an anime in a long time, and it's not even a real anime. Like it's a fan anime.
It is, and the animation looks so good. I don't know.
It, dude, it looks. I'm so impressed that a fan studio is able to do that, and like they're bringing Berserk to life. Like it's so cool to see that finally.
You know what's
But it's
funny?
also so sad because like, why can't an actual studio do that?
Well,
You know?
I mean,
But
I think we know why. I don't think there is a studio that can do it without a lot of funding. And I think
yeah,
nobody wants to fund this unless it's like Berserk 2016 style stuff.
yeah. There is a scene in the trailer where, um, I don't know if I should say because some people haven't seen it, but it's only a trailer. So,
Yeah.
Casca's lying next to Guts, and Guts goes to grab her in like a loving way, and then she turns into his sword, and like that's such a beautiful scene, like symbolism for
Yeah.
Guts having to just fight.
Casca,
You know?
Casca is the reason he fights. You know.
Yeah,
That while he has the Dragon Slayer as his weapon, his true weapon is his love for his tomboy
yeah.
GF.
It really is because that's what he pushed through. Like he pushed through all that pain because of that. So and because of his hatred, but
Yeah.
it's a unique blend of hatred and love, which is really really cool.
What do you think about them adapting the Black Swordsman arc, choosing to do that one instead of
I think
Golden Age or Millennium Falcon
mean,
or whatever?
if they're going chronologically, it makes sense. Like if you're gonna animate the whole thing, you got to do Black Swordsman first, so it makes sense. I still think it's a great arc. It's probably the weakest in the series, but it's not weak, so I'm still excited for it.
Yeah, yeah. I always liked the Black Swordsman arc because it's such an anomaly in the entire thing. Because everyone always goes, "Yeah, Golden Age arc, that's the start." But no, there's like 3 volumes before that. There's an entire arc
Yeah,
before that. That is like the way it ends is kind of important, but like it's almost like it's not even a factor in the later
yeah.
arcs. Like it's not even. It doesn't even happen. It's like it haven't even happened yet.
It's just like, hey, this is Berserk. If you like it, continue. If you don't like it, drop it now.
Yeah, so I do wonder, without Miura, I do wonder in the current series how they're going to, if they're going to connect those points again. Because, like, I've never seen Guts smash a demon in since. But that happens.
Yeah.
That's like the first thing you see in Berserk is Guts having sex with this horrible demon. Which, by the way, you know what's funny about that demon that Guts has sex with and chops the head off of?
What?
That demon is the demon in the eclipse that
Oh.
kills what's his face?
Is it Pippin?
Not Pippin. Oh god.
Judo?
Not Judo. He's the guy who's kind of like an asshole to Guts.
Oh,
Riker?
Porcus.
Porcus, yeah. Porcus.
Porcus. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Corpus.
That's yeah.
He dies from that same monster, like the same type.
Yeah. You know, you can also see the count in the eclipse as well.
Yeah, yeah. You can.
Yeah,
God, that series is so good, so freaking good.
unbelievable. It's just
I
so crazy.
I also thought it was super interesting for the dub. They went just going online and searching through it that way instead of getting the classic English dub actors, which it's like a huge, like those actors are great. Like those actors killed it. In both of the Golden Age arc animes, they voiced those characters in the English dub for. And they're ever since then, all the English dub VAs imitate those voices, and that's the same thing here. This new English
Yeah.
dub is imitating the '97 voices. So, man, if you haven't read Berserk, anyone out there,
Dude,
gotta read
you're
it.
missing
Gotta
out.
read it. Gotta read it.
I mean,
Especially
at
current
this
stuff.
point, yeah. I was gonna say at this point, like Berserk's gained so much popularity, and it was before the tragic passing of Muro was like Berserk wasn't as big as it is now. Like now, it's almost unanimously like the GOAT of manga. You know, like if you look at manga lists everywhere, they just put Berserk at number one or at least in the top five. So it's like unanimously like one of the greats, if not the greatest.
Yeah.
So you definitely just because of that, you got to check it out.
I remember watching a video. It's like a year ago, I think. It was some content creator. And it got like 100,000 views or something like that, talking about basically what happened to the AOT community with the divisive ending in the manga. Sort of the same kind of toxicity seeped into the Berserk community, and it went from being this kind of like generally all right community to this community now having to fend themselves off from like a lot of these people that don't know anything about Berserk or the story or the characters. People that are totally misinterpreting it, like saying crazy stuff. Like there's a certain thing that happens to a certain character, but saying crazy stuff like this character deserved this certain really awful thing that happened to them. You know, that kind of thing.
You know, this character did nothing wrong. If you know what I'm saying.
Yes, this character, of course, obviously did nothing wrong. So I found that interesting. If I ever find that video, I'll link it to you because I think
Yeah.
it's interesting what happens. Like as you put it, when something hits critical mass in terms of popularity, there's just a whole new crowd that joins in, and they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Dora Burb says also,
One
thing I love about the Berserk 97 anime story-wise is the story technically runs a loop, starts with the parts of the Black Swordsman arc, then the Golden Age, and ends with Guts heading out and starting the Black Swordsman arc, getting us back to where he is in episode 1, and it loops over and over. I did not know that. That's really interesting. That's a really nice touch.
I didn't know that either.
See, that's the cool thing about anime. You can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Especially back then. Dan Wood says it was for revenge, so you don't kink shame Guts. He also says Berserk was inspired by Devilman, according to the internet. Goats of anime for sure. Satan did nothing wrong in Devilman, for real, for real. Arvis, have you seen Devilman?
I've not seen Devilman. No, I've heard of it.
That's a series you should definitely check out. I think you'd love it.
Right.
Dan Otaz Media says, "Hey Ben, what's up? Since I saw the topic was new Jin Shonen, I figured it was worth noting today. They just announced that Netflix got the rights to Blue Box. So yeah, I guess we can sort of segue to that. I wanted to ask you about like what you're into right now. Any of like the new Jin Shonen kind of stuff, because that's mostly what my channel covers. So like, any new Shonen or any new like Shonen Jump or anything that's like grabbing your attention right now?
Literally just that one video I made on a manga called Centuria. It's like brand new. It's got 12 chapters and it's ongoing. That really caught my eye, because I haven't seen a series do what Centuria's done in like a really, if ever, to be honest. Like it goes into really deep themes like immediately, and it has like a dark fantasy element of it, like Berserk, which is what I love. So it really caught my attention. But like for the really popular new gen stuff, I really haven't seen a lot of the popular stuff. Like, dude, I haven't checked out like a weekly anime like a weekly seasonal anime in such a long time. Like it's been at least 2 years since I checked out like a seasonal anime because I just haven't been that interested in it. So
Yeah.
you
There
know,
is so if you like Centuria, may I recommend Chainsaw Man, because Centuria's mangaka was the creator of Chainsaw Man's editor.
yeah. I mean, I've read Chainsaw Man up until the end of part one.
Oh,
I
you
read a bit of
did?
part two.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm somewhat familiar with it, but I definitely got to catch up on it. I heard it's going crazy right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh god, the last chapter.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh.
I definitely that's definitely like one of the next series I gotta catch up to because my God, I left out at like 110. It's at like 170 right now. So
Oh yeah, yeah, it's at 170, yeah. Um are you interested in Jujutsu Kaisen? Have you read that?
I've seen the first season of the anime. I know pretty much what happens in the second season, but I've never really been quite like I want to watch this series. Even especially like as soon as the first season dropped, I'm like, this is good. I don't get the hype behind it. So I was just like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's gonna yeah. The manga, I'll just say the series declines pretty
interesting.
sharply at some point. And like, and when I say decline pretty sharply, I don't think it's a bad, like, I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm not saying it's like the worst thing ever, but what I am saying is that um if you had the expectation of it going a certain way, then you're going to be disappointed, because it's
Like
more,
AOT.
it's less, it's more like, it's more, I don't know how to describe this. Like, what's a shonen that's universally agreed upon that's like kind of just really mid or like really bad by the end?
By the end, Demon Slayer, I guess. People say the ending's like not good at all.
Well, I
I mean,
haven't seen
I
that.
haven't seen the ending, so I don't know, but that's just what I hear.
I've heard that discussed too, but I can't trust that because Demon Slayer
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
get any fair treatment um, when it comes to just general stuff like that. Well, yeah. As Phantom Flame puts it, the author JJK woke up one day and chose chaos. That's the perfect way to put it. Like it's one of
I've heard of
those.
some stuff.
It's one of those series you read it and you keep reading it and you. It just makes you feel miserable, but not in like a I'm mad about this kind of way, but in like a very purposeful way of like, I'm just gonna make you not have fun reading this. And there are definitely
Yeah.
flaws with it for sure, but I don't know if you'd like it later on. I don't know if you would. I think you'd like season 2 though. Definitely
Yeah,
season 2.
I mean I know parts of what happened in Shibuya, but
Oh my! Have you been reading Dan to Dan?
no. Here's the thing: I read what 30 chapters of it, made a video on it, and was like, "This is really weird and unhinged," and I kind of just never went back to it. So
Wow. Oh, so
no,
you
yeah,
so you made a video. That's pretty cool. I think it's probably, knowing your taste a little bit, probably not something you would be super into,
yeah.
because it doesn't
That's
have.
kind of what I said in the video.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have like a lot of the deeper messages, themes, and story and darker story. But
Yeah,
it's another one where
it's a goofy story.
it's yeah, it's pretty. It's just fun. Like, it's just
Yeah,
genuinely like fun.
yeah,
It's the opposite of JJK. The author of Day to Day one day woke up and said, "Peace. I choose peace."
yep.
And he just, he's just radiating that energy throughout the entire thing. It's really fun. Um, God, what other like new shonen are out? Oh, Kagurabachi. That's another one. I read a little bit of that.
I've heard of it. I should check that out.
I
Kagurabachi.
It's a lot like JJK in some ways. It has a very, not a slow start, but a very like, this is kind of like paint by the numbers kind of thing, where it is like, if you've specially read JJK at all or any other shonen, recently for that matter, it's very, very safe. But it's not bad. It's also it's also fun. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um Dan Otaz Media says, I don't know, Dan triggers a lot of people with its style of comedy. Yeah, I think that's just like in the first volume. Because,
I heard things get crazier later on though.
oh, dude, Dan is not just a shonen. It's not just an action. It is so many different styles of genres. It's wild. Wild.
Yeah.
The breadth of variety that series has. Ben, you're forgetting Undead Unluck. Oh yeah, have you read that one?
Undead Unluck, I heard of it. Again, I haven't checked it out.
That's another one that's really fun. That's another one that's
You know what? I should just do a video where I ask people to recommend new shonen manga, and I just check all of them out because there's so many I gotta check out.
See, you do a video like Sea Tactics. I read all the manga. Sea Tactics recommended me, and it's just like a bunch of stuff you just would never like, but I just would just be
Yeah.
tickled to see if you read it or not.
Yeah, dude, I really gotta check these out.
Yeah, you may like Undead Unluck. It got an anime recently. It's pretty good. I really enjoyed it. That's all I can say. But you know, other than that, I just wanted to get your like I don't know, like how did you get into YouTube and how did you like get to this point? And like what are your thoughts on YouTube as a whole and where it's headed and where it's gone and the struggles as a content creator that you may have?
Yeah, I mean, I really just started like, I mean, it's cliche to say, but for fun. Like, I was just like, okay, AOT's ongoing right now. Why not? Let's just like I'd always been interested in like making videos and creating content, so I'm like, let me do it. And thankfully, like I got in at a point where AOT was really like popping off. So when I started making videos, it got some views. For me at the time, I was like pretty gassed at the amount of views I was getting. So it was a really big driving force for me to continue. And I got a lot of inspiration too because I had maybe not recently, but the few years before making the channel, I got really into manga, and then I began seeing channels create videos on manga. So I'm like, this is cool. I could give my own opinions on stuff, and then I get to check out more series and stuff. And so I began, and like the first few years of videos I made, now looking back, it's probably a good thing, but I don't think they're really good videos. It just shows how much I've improved and everything. But I was just kind of making them because I really enjoy the progress. It's a fun aspect as well. Like making videos to me is fun, creating something from scratch. But seeing that number go up, like seeing subscriber go up, views go up, like not many creators talk about it, but for me it's like it's motivating. Like I want to see that number go up. I want to like see success in something I created. So that was like a big driving force, which is why at a certain point where my channel kind of got stuck, I really lost the drive to continue because I'm like, what's the point? Like I'm not
Yeah,
going to continue this forever.
no stats
And that's
giving you
still
the dopamine hit.
exactly. And I was just thinking like how much longer is this YouTube thing going to continue? Like I'm not going to make these videos till I'm like way older. Like how much more do I have? Like I can do so many other things with my life. So I was just wondering, and then I came back. I'm like, I began this because I just enjoyed making videos and like making things from scratch. So I'm like, let me just do that again and try and put more effort into it using all the skills that I've gained. And that's kind of what I found now. It's just like make videos that you think are good and that you actually have fun making. Don't like force yourself to make them and take your time with it like I'm doing now. And so far it's been like paying off. Like for the last couple years now, my channel's doing the best it's done. So it's
Yeah.
definitely paying off and I'm in like a good spot right now. But there were definitely struggles to get here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I really resonate with like how how like we weren't doing really well. It just wasn't very motivating to do that. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of us content creators, we feel that because like success on YouTube is one of the most exhilarating things that you can feel.
Yeah.
Like there's like it's almost like it's so reassuring to who you are as a person that when you don't have that feedback, that insane feedback you get, it makes you feel like the shittiest person alive. And you have to you just have to go through it, and you got to break yourself out of it. And then when it happens again, you know, you get on another streak, and you ride the wave, and then it crashes again eventually, and it starts over. And it's very not healthy. I actually wouldn't recommend it for most people. It's taken a toll on me because I've been doing this for 15 years. So that's like the last 5 years of me doing YouTube has been me getting really successful at something. Then the crash happens, and then I'm just like, what do? I don't know what to do. Blah. And then something else comes along, and then you know, it's all good again. And it's super exhausting, super duper exhausting. I also have a question. What do you think about YouTube comments? Are yours like really good? Do you have like really bad experiences with them of like random people just coming by? I know you're a big channel, but you don't have like 100K subs, and I'm not sure I have so much people every day saying just random stuff. I guess my question is, has the quality of the comment in general changed for you?
Quality wise, no. Quantity certainly. Like I get way more comments now than I did in the past. I mean, that's just because the channel grew. But quantity wise, there's just there's people that give me positive comments, neutral comments, and negative comments as well. And I think it's always going to be like that. Like I get comments being like, "This video was really well edited," and I'm like, "Damn, that makes me feel good about myself." And I scroll down, and the next comment's like, "This manga is trash. Your opinion is stupid," and whatever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But I don't get like seriously bad comments, like death threat comments or anything crazy like that. You know, which I mean, like I know happens because you know when you get really big on YouTube in terms of subscribers, like that will end up happening at some point. But for me, I've been pretty chill. I just get comments being like your take is stupid or something like that. Like I've gotten a few comments that's like this video was pointless. I didn't get anything from it or something like that. And I just kind of laugh at it because it's like it's funny and I go and I think about it like how can I improve this video? So there's a benefit to the negative comments. It kind of like pushes you to make better content, but there's also a benefit to the positive comments, which is like reassuring so you don't get super stressed out all the time. And then there's just the neutral guys that are like, I really like Berserk because whatever, and I'm like, nice. Didn't ask, but it helps the algorithm. Thanks, you know. So it's funny, it's cool. I'm not really concerned about the comments. Like people can put what they want, and you know, it gets traction for the video. Helps me at the end of the day. So yeah, do what you will.
Yeah. For me, I feel like after the pandemic, comments got a lot more depressing. That's what I noticed. And I don't know if it's just because of the fact that I covered a series that was really popular and it brought in a lot of different kinds of people or whatever, but the quality of my comment section went from being fairly readable to at times nigh unreadable, and actually definitely unreadable at some points. So I think that's pretty interesting. Like you have a very positive experience of that. I wonder what I'm doing wrong. That's what I wonder.
Maybe I'm not sure. I think
my
you're just too
mindset?
popular. I think you're too popular, man.
No.
I mean, like,
Oh, come on.
I mean,
You don't need to flatter me.
I don't know what else it would be. Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't read comments that much, to be honest.
I
I see a few of them, but
sometimes I'm scared. Sometimes I'm scared to
yeah,
open a comment section. because you never know. You never know
You never know. Yeah.
who's got an axe to grind. That's
Yeah.
sort of what it feels like sometimes. Um. Yeah. No, I don't think I have any more questions for you. I think that's a good place to probably end the stream here. We're getting a little
Yeah.
long in the tooth now. It's been about 90 minutes, which is about how I like to go for these. It's
That's a good length.
how long I can go before I
Yeah.
start boring everyone. So, Arvius, tell the people where they can find you.
Well, I just saw Dano Taz in the comments. Subscribe to my channel, so appreciate that. If you'd like to do the same, the links in the description of this stream. You can just type RBS with two S's into YouTube, and there you go. Try and upload as much as I can, but as you can see with the recent video, it's been quite a bit. It's been almost a month since my last video. I'm working on one right now. I'm working on a few big projects, but they're gonna take some time. So we'll see what happens. But I hope my videos will be of value to whoever decides to view them.
Phantom Flame wants to hit you with one last question, Arvius. What are your opinions on the recent increase in successors for manga?
Let me see that comment. Let me go back.
The most recent one.
Okay. What are your opinions on the recent increase in successors for manga? Successors as in like sequels to series?
Yeah, that's a good question. Is it sequels or is it like Fujimoto's? Oh, like
Authors. Oh, okay. Yeah, like Fujimoto assistants kind of thing. I mean, I mean, I love that.
Oh yeah, Toyo
Tor-
Taro, Dragon Ball. That's a good one.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'd say like in terms of assistants from other mangaka making their own series, especially like I'll take the Fujimoto example. Like that, for me, like Centuri is a good example of it. Dandadan's the assistant of Chainsaw Man as well. So like you can see that so many of these new manga are from this one author, and I think it's great because it takes his style. Like they learn a lot from him, someone who's already had a lot of success, and they go and they create their own series, but with different kinds of storytelling and their own unique twists on it. Like it's not all crazy like Fujimoto is. Like Centuri is not at all like Chainsaw Man. It's completely different, but the author has taken something from Fujimoto and implemented it into his own story. So I think it's really cool. It's like a sensei teacher. It's like a teacher student dynamic, and
Well,
it's
it.
creating more manga. It's getting more traction. I think that's great.
I think that's the way it's supposed to be. Like, because in music, I'm a musician, and in music, we build upon each other. Like people get
Yeah,
mad when
yeah,
like an artist rips off another artist's song. That happens all the time unintentionally. There's songs that
yeah.
sound like one to one the same, and it's not. They don't. They've never even heard of this song or the genre the other song is in, but they've copied it unknowingly. So a lot of people don't realize this, but things are built upon what came before. That's
100%.
it's kind of it's like building generational wealth and families. It's the same concept. That's how humans work. We grow
Yeah,
upon one another.
yeah,
So I think it's the same. I think it's the same dynamic. Um,
yeah. I agree.
and I think if you stop seeing that, I think you potentially see the death of the
You
medium.
see the death of it. Yeah, you can't. Like, where are you gonna get these ideas from? Like, fantasy was inspired by, let's say, like Lord of the Rings was one of the first big fantasy series. Then that inspired like so many other fantasy series, and then Berserk came along, and Berserk inspired so many dark fantasy manga. And from another perspective, Dragon Ball inspired Shonen, and then Naruto came along. Naruto inspired this generation of Shonen. Like, you can't just create stuff from nothing. It's got to come from somewhere. There's got to be a blueprint to follow, but you also got to take it your own direction and change it up. And that's what I'm seeing a lot from, especially like manga and anime now. So it's really cool.
It's good to see it. Good to see it. And I think that's one of the industries in the world that understands that. I don't think we'll ever see them stray from that path. At least anytime soon. We'll see. Crazier things have happened. Certainly.
Yeah.
But other than that, thanks for coming out, Arvius. I really enjoyed this kind of get together, this little chat we had and with the audience and stuff. It was really fun, really eye opening into just how you think about stuff and your viewpoints on things. And it helped me understand AoE community much better. Helped me understand other perspectives on the ending much better. And it let me learn a couple things. So I appreciate that.
Cool.
And
Glad to hear that, man.
hopefully in the future we can do more stuff together. I'd absolutely love to.
Dude, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So
That'd be really cool.
hope everyone had fun. Hope you all have a good night. And make sure to treat each other well, because people in the world be hurting right now. And be that support for someone who needs it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace out,
Bye.
guys.